Georgia is already lowering the boom on everyone in college football in 2023. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. We break down the game we all love each and every day with you. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. We took in the Georgia spring game, played at 4 Eastern, ESPN2, and I'm alluding to boom. Yes, Georgia lowered the boom, of course, in 21 and 22 as defending two-time national champions, but there's a new UGA. This is the big story on the day. New UGA, first UGA that has newly been introduced since 2015. So this happened minutes before kickoff. UGA 11. His name is Boom, and he's the new UGA. So that's the big news on the day. Other than that, there were 9 key players that missed the spring game, including we've got Branson Robinson, Small London, also Marvin Jones Jr., Jalen Walker, and Kendall Milton. I don't believe any of those are serious based on our conversations recently that we have on Georgia football here at the Voice of College Football. Check it out. All right, Kirby Smart said in preparation for the game, we need to play football. All of our players need to play football, meaning drills, no. 7-on-7, no. Routes, run on air, no. Real football, tackle football, real situations, and play a game of football. So that's what we had, aside from, of course, the obligatory non-contact for the quarterbacks. But Kirby Smart mentioned that the quarterbacks do need to feel pressure, not physical pressure necessarily, but the pressure of third down in particular. That's what Kirby Smart said in regards to separating the quarterbacks that are ready to go, ready to play, ready to perform, and play in the clutch. Third down is huge. Okay, it was announced here before the game. So Glenn Schumann, co-defensive coordinator last year, along with Will Muschamp. Muschamp maintains his title, but Glenn Schumann is now the defensive coordinator. I would not have guessed that hierarchy would have taken place. Just because we're all more familiar, of course, with Will Muschamp through the years as being one of the top defensive minds in college football. Glenn Schumann is the defensive coordinator. And also, tight ends coach Todd Hartley has also had added to his title, assistant head coach. All right, let's get to the action on the field. Arian Smith, the last time we saw him catching a big touchdown pass against Ohio State to get the Bulldogs past the Buckeyes and into the national championship game. He had 2 touchdowns on the day. And then also, we had Mekhi Muse, little 5'8" shifty slot receiver. He turned up big in this game. If there was an MVP, it was Mekhi Muse. 99-yard kickoff return for a touchdown, punt return for a touchdown, and a 54-yard reception on a scoring drive. The redshirt sophomore came up big. Again, he is the 5'8" player. And if you say, well, spring games don't mean much, there are certain players that just flash in the spring, and this is only 1 of 15 sessions, of course. Let's keep in mind, just 1 year ago, A.D. Mitchell, who turned out to be a key player, now at Texas, he had a big spring game in Athens, and also Oscar Delp, 7 catches, 91 yards in 2022, and of course, he turned out to be a key factor in the championship run as well. All right, you want to hear about the quarterbacks. And we took in the action, and we took in Carson Beck. Now, he's the front runner, and he looks like the front runner. He got off to a red-hot start. He was basically perfect. 10 of 11 at one point. He finished 15 of 22, which would call into question his performance his last 10 passes or so. Drops included. Better pass breakups and better pass coverage out of the defense, and defensive performance in the first half was awful. Got much better in the second half as the 2 quarterbacks between Carson Beck and Brock Vandagriff, they actually switched teams at halftime to, I guess, make it fair. 24-19, a lot of fireworks at halftime, and Kirby Smart, in talking to ESPN2 at halftime, as you might imagine, pleased with the offense, said we executed well. But man, got to play better defense, got to get stops. Now, he was not very specific on what he did not see out of the defense when posed the question. He just said, we got to get stops. All right, so again, Carson Beck looking good, 15 of 22 for 231, and his performance was better than that. Gunnar Stockton, the third-string quarterback, and it's pretty apparent that he's out of the running. So the other guy in play, of course, is Brock Vandagriff. he was hit or miss. He got off to a good statistical start, and he was making the throws, but a lot of throws that he made in the second half were just off. They weren't awful throws, but they weren't where they needed to be to assure a completion. Like, receivers could have made really outstanding catches possibly, but he left it out there for chance, and a couple got picked off in the meantime. Jack Podlesny, of course, one of the great kickers in the history of Georgia football. He's gone. We saw Liam Badger, a walk-on, hit a 51-yard field goal, and also Jared Zirkle connected from 42 yards. At halftime, got to see Brock Bowers receive his John Mackey Award as the best tight end in college football in 2022. This is the first time, I believe, that I have heard Brock Bowers speak as he was interviewed at halftime. Very humble individual. Team first. As sometimes we see in these interviews, the interviewee or the interviewer was wanting him to talk about himself and the accomplishment and what it meant to him. He deflected all of it. And that's the first time I've ever heard Brock Bowers speak, I believe. All right. The two incoming transfers at wide receiver. Ra Thomas did not play. Mississippi State, he had some off-the-field issues. I don't know if those are still in play in regards to his not playing in the spring game because he was not listed on the injury report along with the other 9 players that I talked about. Dominic Levet, or Dom Levet, the incoming transfer from Mizzou. He's a really good player. He was top 5 in the SEC in receiving yards last year with a marginal quarterback situation at Mizzou with Brady Cook and company. So look out for Dominic Levet as a contributor this year in a big way. One concern for Georgia football would be the tackle position with Broderick Jones and also Warren McClendon. We will see them at the NFL draft in just 2 weeks. They move on. Center and the 2 guard spots filled with some of the best players in those positions in the country. But Amarius Mims, we remember when he was recruited and signed. Amarius Mims actually started the final 2 games for Georgia in the playoffs. So he is used to big-time pressure and big-time games, and he will probably take over at left tackle. And then you've got Ernest Green, the leading candidate at the other tackle position. On the transfer portal route, of course, this is the first day that the transfer portal is open, although we had some announcements, specifically coming out of Texas in particular, before Saturday. Bear Alexander, defensive tackle, one of the top 50 recruited players in all of college football in 2022, who was looking at Texas A&M, was looking at Florida and some other destinations, chose Georgia. Well, Bear Alexander has hit the transfer portal, and there will be a lineup of teams looking to sway him to their campus. Our thoughts on Georgia football. Leave your comments below right here at the Voice of College Football. And more spring reports coming your way. Stay tuned.